good day to you. This is Todd. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word. We're continuing our journey today through Psalm 23. Psalm 23 says this: "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Verse 3, if you look at that, it says, "He restores my soul." The Old King James, it would say, "He restoreth my soul." I want to talk about that today. That's in verse 3. He restores my soul. And you're thinking, yeah, God restores my soul at different times. But let's talk about it in terms of sheep. There's a term in being a shepherd and taking care of sheep. It's called cast down, or when a sheep is cast. You can see the sheep I have right here is at this point cast or cast down, okay? So what happens is a sheep will be going along, and it could be overweight, it could be pregnant, it could have a lot of wool on it, and what happens is it will get to a spot and then it will just fall over, and it will end up being like this with its legs up in there flailing around, and it can't get up. And eventually, because of the way the circulation is in the sheep, it will eventually die. So a shepherd always has to be on the lookout for sheep that are cast down, okay, or cast, you might say. And so the shepherd is always looking over the flock to make sure, if one is missing, and then if it is missing, to make sure it's not cast down, okay? Now, naturally, when a sheep is in this position, like this, upside down, flailing around, it's going to get tired out and so forth. At that point, too, it is a prime target for predators, okay? So the leopards, the mountain lions, and even buzzards. The buzzards are circling around. When I'm on a bike ride or out in the park or whatever, and I see buzzards flying around, they're usually circling for something that's dead or almost dead, okay? There's kind of a joke in the ultra running community. In fact, it was a book too, Until the Buzzards Get You. And it was, you're running in an ultra marathon, you're running so slow and you're so tired and you look almost to the point of death, but you're just trying to get the 100 miles in or 60 miles in or whatever, that the buzzards are flying around over you waiting for you to just fall off and die. So the sheep is like that, has predators, on the lookout. So the shepherd always has to be looking for a sheep that is cast down, okay? And then the shepherd is quick to restore that sheep. It'll be on the lookout, and when it sees that, it goes and turns the sheep over, okay? But then the sheep might just plop right back down again because the circulation in its legs, if I'm standing on my head for several hours and I go to flip back over, I'm going to be like, all woozy because the circulation in my legs is not there, okay? So the shepherd will, rub the legs and everything to try and get the circulation back in the legs. And it'll have to, guide the sheep for a little bit to become stable. Otherwise, the sheep will just fall right back down again. And when that happens, too, the shepherd, restores it, but then it keeps an eye on it because it might have to restore it again real soon. And it might be a daily thing of restoring that sheep, okay? So there's several reasons as to why a sheep would be cast down in the first place. And that applies to us as Christians, okay? So the first thing is a shepherd will be looking for sheep that are cast down. And the sheep would be cast down because it has gotten too comfortable and it has looked for a place like in a low spot, and it's just a comfortable place. It hasn't really paid attention, of course, and it got in this low hollow and fell over. Okay, and we as Christians can be like that. It's easy for us to fall into sin when we've relaxed. We're not reading the Bible. We're not trusting God like we should, and we're just coasting along like, I'm good. I can do all things through myself that strengthens me, not through Christ who strengthens me, but I can do all things through myself. Okay, we're coasting along like that, and then that's when we're going to fall. Okay, when we rely on ourselves. Okay, and that's what the sheep happens to the sheep. It is like, I'm going to just coast and relax here, on the hillside, and boop, falls over. Okay, it needs the shepherd. So, and then the other way that the sheep will be cast down is this. It could be too heavy with pregnancy, of course, but it could be too heavy with the wool. Okay, wool, especially when it gets wet, is real heavy. Okay, if you've ever picked up most Oriental rugs that we clean, all the fine ones are. There's some that are silk, but most of them are wool. Okay, just a wool rug by itself is heavy. Okay, but when you get that wet, Lord have mercy, that thing is enormously heavy. Okay, so go carry around a wet wool rug for a bit, and you'll be like, oh wow, this is amazing that this crazy thing is so heavy. So anyway, the sheep is heavy like that too, especially when it gets wet. And it'll get wet. The wool will get wet with the dew and dirt and everything else, and it's so heavy. When that happens, and the shepherd sees this, what's the shepherd going to do? Well, most likely it's going to go, well, we have to fix that problem, and he's going to shear the sheep. Okay. Now the sheep aren't like lining up and like, oh, gee, I want to be sheared today. No, it's a process that they don't really enjoy, and the shepherd doesn't enjoy it either. Imagine cutting the hair of, we have small children around here, and the small children, when it's time to cut hair, it's like, it's a big a fight of they're squirming around and not anxious to get their hair cut. After it's all over, the child goes, that's not bad, and you're relieved. Okay, so after that whole process is over, you're relieved. The thing is, when the sheep gets weighed down with all that extra wool and everything, that's when it gets into problems too. Okay, and it's the same way in our Christian lives too. When we're weighed down with other things, okay, and the wool represents wealth, okay, and extra things. The high priest, when they went into the Holy of Holies area and into the temple, they were wearing linen garments. They weren't wearing any wool. There was no wool allowed in there. So anyway, those are things that represents things that can weigh us down. Okay, it might be our cars that we have, our bicycles, our house, or all kinds of possessions. Those things weigh us down. And what you'll find is you're serving the Lord, those things can be a hindrance to you. Those things can weigh you down. You're like, oh man, I missed my quiet time today because, I had to wash my, fifth car or whatever, take care of those things. Those things can weigh you down. So, especially if you're going like on the mission field, it's nice when you go on the mission field, you have nothing, okay? You have, the clothes on your back and your backpack and stuff. You don't have to worry about anything. Here at home, you're like, oh, I got to take care of the cars and the house, the water pump went out on the house and all this stuff you got to worry about, okay? The big thing, though, is this. When you fall, and you'll fall because of, being weighed down with stuff, and then just like I said earlier, being lazy and complacent and relying on yourself. When you fall, God is there to restore you, okay? So God is that good shepherd, and it says he restores my soul, okay? God is there to restore you, okay? And he'll do it every day, several times a day, okay? He's not going to go, oh, you reached your quota for today. Sorry, I'm going to leave you upside down. That's not going to happen, okay? God is there to restore your soul, All right. So that's the big takeaway for today is he restoreth my soul. God is always there to restore your soul. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I'll see you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Psalm 23. Blessings.